I got a lot of people that care about me, and it's going to disappoint them to hear that I did this. I would like to apologize to each and every one of them. Just a broken guy, got a few screws loose, I guess. Never really knew it until now. I'm down to 2,100. I started like 30-something.
Rich, you said you're at 2,100 pounds of fuel left?
Yeah, not quite ready to bring it down just yet, but holy shit.
Sky King. And they were angry about it. They're like, he's not an alt-right symbol. He's not a neo-Nazi symbol. He was just a guy, you know, dealing with stuff. You know what I mean? I guess hijack will work. Co-opt. That's the word I was looking for. Co-opt. It depressed me. It made me angry because it was like, no, it's so much more. He's not like a neo-Nazi symbol. It's not. Look, the fact that he said, no, I'm a white guy. They're like, he didn't know anything about that. He didn't know anything about, he was never racist. Like, if you lament the fact that you're white in a world that hates white people, that means you're racist. Of course it does. Of course it does to these stunants. But what I don't think anybody thinks that Sky King understood what was going on with him. But I think everybody understood what was going on. This was what, 2018? In 2018, if you were a white man in 2018 and you weren't constantly assaulted, called names, talked about your privilege, told that there's something wrong with you, blamed for all the world's problems, he didn't have to be red-pilled. All he had to do was to open his eyes and go out into the world. That's all he had to do. Nobody's saying that Sky King was this red-pilled guy, this neo-Nazi alt-right guy. No, he was a symptom of the world that we were living in at that time. And yeah, we're still living in it now, but there's the things have changed a little bit. You know, someone like me is allowed to speak openly. Indeed, he has risen, Sour Cookie. So, nobody's claiming that freaking Sky King was out there on message boards talking about white power or anything like that. No, Sky King represented almost the feeling without the understanding. You know what I mean? The writing was on the wall. He didn't have to be tapped into the J question or anything like that. It wasn't like that. All he had to do was exist in the world in 2018 as a white male. That's all that was necessary for him to get the drift, for him to understand, and for it to overwhelm him. This dead-end situation where you're blamed for all the problems no matter how hard you try and no matter how much you show that you mean nobody harm. You are still public enemy number one. And the world revels in insulting you, attacking you, seeing you disenfranchised. If they stab you in the neck on a bus and you die in front of everyone, you are a racist if you don't like it. If you look at Irina Zarutska, sorry if I mispronounced it, and you say that was terrible, you are an awful person. Obviously that happened afterwards, but the point is still, there is no situation in which a white person is the good guy. Even if the white person is being killed on camera, he's a symbol of alt-right. Which is evil. He's a symbol of white nationalism, which is evil. So Sky King didn't need to be tapped in. Sky King, all he had to do was be a white male existing in 2018 and see the writing on the walls. That's all that was necessary. And that's why he's a symbol for so many of us. That's why we love him. Because he's sitting in the plane and he's saying, I don't want to harm anybody. I don't want to hurt anybody. I just don't want to do this anymore. And so many of us feel that way. Because we've been robbed of a proper life. And especially those in the sort of millennial range who started off in one world and then were dropped into another world. And there was no demarcation line. It was just all of a sudden, everyone hated you. Everyone was attacking you. Everyone was blaming you for all their problems, and nothing you said or did could fix it. And then the entire infrastructure around you falls apart. Your future falls apart. The dating market falls apart. The job market falls apart. The housing market falls apart. And you're just sitting trying to scrape together some semblance of a life in the aftermath of a social catastrophe, the likes of which no one's ever seen. And that you can't pinpoint, and you can't say, there it is. A psychological war. You're the victim of a psychological war. And most people don't understand it. Most people don't understand it. Most white men don't understand what's happening to them. Most white men don't understand why they find life unbearable. And that's what Sky King was. I don't think he was anything like a neo-Nazi, but I think he represented the inner turmoil that all of us felt when we watched the entire world get taken from us, or our entire lives get taken from us, stomped in front of us, have their throats slit in front of us, spit on, shat on, and then thrown in the street, and then told it was our fault. You don't need a message board. All you need is a heart. He was dealing with it, even if he didn't understand it. And most people are dealing with it. Most white men are dealing with it. That's why I say in the song, the suicide rate the white male suicide keeps rising. And it does. It's the highest level of suicide is white men. And we're out here clinging to whatever reason we can to not be another statistic. Because there's nothing out there for us. And the world we live in right now is worse than the world Sky King was in. Now, all of us are just living in that. There's nothing out there for us. There's just nothing out there for us. And the whole world celebrates our disenfranchisement. The whole world celebrates when we suffer. And that's the reality of the situation. And you can't make anybody understand it. And in a way, it's a great thing because it turned us to the truth. It turned us to Christ. Because, you know, I think if things kept going the way they were going in the 90s, maybe I would have never thought about Jesus. No, I thought about him, but I would have never, I don't know. Who could say? But we saw the trajectory. The trajectory was as much materialism and superficial nonsense. And now something else is taking place. In the 90s, people LARPed as Satanists. In 2026, people choose Satan because they know it's real. There's no LARP. The writing's on the wall. We had the luxury in the 90s of existing in a world where we can make mistakes, where the walls were padded. We were playing bumper bowling. But now the gutters are exposed and everybody's falling into them, and you have to take stock of what your of what your life is. You have to take stock of what your life is. Ultimately, you can't sit around in the sandbox anymore. Real life is upon us. And nobody's looking out for us. Nobody on this earth. So yeah, a lot of things are black and white now. They weren't as black and white in 2018. I'm sorry, Marcellery. I can't tell you. I can't make people understand how hard this is. And that's part of the problem. Is we don't have the words for the spiritual, societal, and cultural emptiness that is hollowing us out. We can't make it understandable to people who aren't us because they're having an entirely different experience. But almost every white man you see is dying inside. Almost every white man you see is falling apart inside. And we know that no one cares. And we know nobody cares. That's the crazy part. And I know that that's part of the reason, that's part of what I have over here. You know, it's part of what I have over here. I'm just another white guy trying to get through the day.
try to figure out how to use the autopilot first.
On Roger, touch spot 88 via Bravo, counting for you.
88 and over ramp and 2057. Not concentrate so much on flying the airplane.
Hey, you think if I land this successfully, Labs will give me a job as a pilot?
You know, I think they would give you a job doing anything if you could pull this off.
Yeah, right. Nah, I'm a white guy.
It's 3 maintain 1 turns around, forward better to a 5 mile final, contact phone tower.